And thank you for staying with us. In New York, there are about 70,000 abortions a year. And what are the root causes that drive women to abortion? Well, here to share a little bit more, the founder and president of Two Heartbeats, Two Lives, Marsha Toms, and member of Life Team New York, Myrna Calderon. And thank you so much for joining. And I am baffled to hear 70,000 abortions every year in New York City.
Well, that's why we're here, because people are baffled, people don't know, and the information is readily available, so that's why we are having a workshop to help people to bring that information to the forefront, so that people will know that in New York there are over 70,000 abortions a year, and that in the Bronx in particular, over 60% of the pregnancies actually end in abortion.
60%.
Yes, and so the workshop that we're having is going to be connecting the link between mass incarceration, abortion, and genocide. Because at the end of the day, when people are not reproducing, the result of that is genocide. And so this workshop is going to take it back to decades ago, when the eugenics and the genocide project had started here in actually New York, but in the United States. So it is going to be an information-based workshop, and we're also going to be helping people understand how to reverse that. Because once you understand, like you were in shock, you didn't know that the numbers were so high. Oh. And so because people don't know, they are not going to understand that there's a crisis. But one of the main things I wanted to ask is, if a person thinks that it is wrong to intentionally and directly take the life of another human being. And if the answer to that question is yes, then we'd have to say that abortion is wrong, because abortion is the direct and intentional taking of another human being's life.
Myrna, talk about the work that you do.
Well, a few years ago, we've gotten together with other churches of different denominations, and we work on, it's called the New York Life Team, and we started giving workshops to bring awareness to what was going on, because we were all appalled when we started seeing the numbers. There were some pastors who could not believe that in their own, within their own area of their churches, they were like the #1 in the Bronx of abortions. And if you know anything about abortion statistics, New York State is #1 in the country, and the Bronx is #1 in New York State. So that will tell you why we got involved.
Right. And you so launched this campaign, Unborn Lives Matter.
Yes, yes. Unborn lives matter, our lives matter, because if we trace the trend back to the 70s, right? So at the same time that Roe versus Wade took off, which was abortion on demand, at the same time that took off, the mass incarceration took off as well. So there's a direct parallel between those two issues, starting early 70s. And so with those two issues combined, the outcome of it is genocide. And the result of that is our race, our people of color, our population is declining since about 2014. But nobody heard about it.
Right.
Well,
that's what I'm saying, because Myrna, you're educating people. I want to talk about what's the response that you get when you start throwing these statistics and information out there.
People are floored. What happened to me was I was watching a news show. It wasn't CNN, it was HLN News. And they were talking about this Myafa 21. And I said, what's Myafa 21? So I ordered the DVD. I was floored. I could not believe how, especially the black population, was being targeted for genocide. In fact, there's a website you can go to, blackgenocide.org, run by a Reverend Childress, who just gave these statistics that I just couldn't believe. I just wept.
He appeared here a few years ago.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I just wept when I said, how could you stand by and see your own people of color that look just like you, being targeted for annihilation and not say anything, and especially the innocent lives. And I've seen, as part of the Life Team, not just the babies that are lives that are taken, but the women that are destroyed by being told this is okay, and having to see them become suicidal, having to see them not being able to have children later in life and feeling like they're being punished. I've seen men had no control over what the women did, and fathers' lives being destroyed. Says, I had no choice in this matter. So there's a whole thing that we have not looked at. When people say pro-choice, what are they really saying? You know, nobody's looking at the bigger picture. You know, you can't have almost 62 million lives in the United States gone from abortion since Roe v. Wade in 1973. And that impacts everything in our economy, everything. Social Security, nobody thinks about those impacts.
62 million.
Almost 62 million, and those are the ones that are reported.
Right. Because everything is not reported.
Right.
Right, because some of the facilities, decades and decades and decades, they've been operating like in back alleys, you know, with white jackets on, but still their services have been detrimental to the women, and some of those, it's so horrific, I don't even want to discuss it here.
Yeah, what we're going to do is this, we're going to give people information so that way they can go come and be a part of it.
Yes.
And thank you, Marcia, thank you, Myrna, for coming and being a part and awakening us with some real startling statistics. Now, Our Lives Matter 2 is taking place on Saturday, November 10th, 9th, I should say, yes, and November the 16th from 10 to 1, located at 340 Willis Avenue. Well, we've come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you catch the Recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m., Optimus Channel 67, Verizon Fios, that's 33, or anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. Thank you to all those who are watching on MNN as Open is now being broadcast live simultaneously. To my family, Sister Ann, hey, good to see y'all. All right, well, listen, that wraps up for us here on the set of Open. Daren Jaime, take care. Make sure to keep this channel wide open. Take care. God bless.